This is the newsroom.
This is the newsroom for Monday, November 3rd, 2025. We're broadcasting to you on E1 SKAR TV Indian and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, MPs sworn in first sitting of National Assembly for 13th Parliament. The President says there was no deliberate delay in reconvening the Parliament. Police prepare to seek legal advice in gas station attack probe. And in sport, President Ali promises big investment as Guyana targets major motor racing event in 2026, and Lall, Redford and Seejatan dominant at Caribbean Clash of Champions. With the news, I'm Vishani Raghavar. Thanks for joining us. The 13th Parliament of Guyana opened on Monday, ushering in a mix of fresh faces and seasoned politicians to the country's highest lawmaking body. But today was overshadowed by the arrival of Azruddin Mohammed, the Wind Party leader on the U.S. sanctions and facing extradition on serious financial crime charges. His presence in the National Assembly has sparked debate over parliamentary standards and the country's international reputation. Kurt Campbell tells us more.
Central to Guyana's democracy and governance, the parliament, which makes the country's laws, scrutinizes government actions, and represents the interests of citizens, was officially convened on Monday. 65 members of parliament were sworn in, 36 from the government side and 29 from the non-government benches, marking the start of the 13th Parliament of Guyana. There were many newcomers on both sides of the aisle, greeted by the traditional thumping of tables as they took their oath of office. But the moment that drew the most attention and the controversy was the swearing-in of Azruddin Mohammed, the businessman on the U.S. sanctions, criminal indictment, and facing extradition to the United States of America. Mohammed of the We Invest in Nationhood political party, WIN, arrived at the Arthur Chung Conference Center in a Lamborghini, the same luxury vehicle at the center of a U.S. tax evasion probe. His driver revved the engine on arrival, a move some described as a show of defiance amid his ongoing extradition battle. WIN, in a string of press releases, sought to brand the moment as historic, but critics quickly pushed back, calling it a low point for Guyana's parliament, noting that never before has an individual indicted by the United States of America for gold smuggling and money laundering taken a seat in the National Assembly.
I, Azruddin Imtiaz Mohammed, do hereby solemnly declare that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the people of Guyana, that I will faithfully execute the office of member of the National Assembly without fear or favor, affection or ill will, and that in the execution of the functions of that office, I will honor, uphold, and preserve the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana.
Meanwhile, in more traditional parliamentary business, Manzoor Nadir was re-elected Speaker of the National Assembly, while Dr. Vishnu Mahadio was chosen as the Deputy Speaker. Nadir, who previously served from September 2020 to 2025, was nominated by Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips and seconded by Minister of Governance and Parliamentary Affairs Hail Teixeira. No other nominations were made.
Today, I accept this honor for the second term. I am reminded that our journey together as a nation is a collective march towards progress and greatness, a shining example of a country evolving and growing that places us in the forefront of development for the 21st century.
For the position of Deputy Speaker, there was a vote. Dr. Mohadio, nominated by the PPPC, received 36 votes, defeating Tabitha Sarbo Haley of Wynne, who secured 17 votes. With the swearing-in complete, the 13th Parliament now begins its 5-year journey, one expected to test not just political alliances, but the standards of accountability and integrity in Guyana's highest lawmaking body. For the newsroom, Kurt Campbell.
Now, President Dr. Finali has dismissed as totally disconnected from the truth suggestions that there was any deliberate delay in reconvening Parliament, making it clear that every step taken by his government is within the bounds of Ghana's constitution. Speaking with journalist Farisa Hanif during an interview moments before the 13th Parliament convened on Monday, the head of state shunned what he called a misinformation campaign by the We Invest in Nationhood Party and others seeking to politicize an ongoing international criminal investigation. Now, on Article 69(1) of the Constitution, Parliament must be reconvened within 4 months of its dissolution. Parliament was dissolved on July 3, 2025, meaning the government had until November to act, a timeline that the president said had been strictly observed.
And we made it clear that we are going to work closely with our international partners to ensure that whatever legal and administrative steps must be taken will be taken. Nothing political. Nothing political. A straightforward case that is being laid out. Subsequently, what we saw that Mr. Azzedine entered the political fray and then suddenly used this as a scenario where he is being discriminated against by the government, by the People's Progressive Party government. He is being discriminated by the People's Progressive Party civil government, that he is being politically prosecuted, which is a total lie. I've just outlined. This started long before we came into office. This investigation started long before we came into office.
And your government followed all the steps.
And we followed all the steps. We came, we met this investigation, we cooperated, and now the final step, here we are, where the United States government had, let's go back, a court in the United States had indictments now against the Mohammeds. 11 indictment. Now, an indictment is not arrived at in a simple way. For you to have 11 indictment, the court had to be convinced that a clear case has been laid out, that there is clear evidence leading to the indictment, and they went further. The strength of the indictment, which lies on gold smuggling, money laundering, and other criminal activity, then advanced a case for extradition. The extradition request was made in accordance with the legal and administrative mechanism. That request, like many other requests before, has been processed by the government of Guyana after examining the evidence and being convinced that there is a clear case. Now, that extradition request has been made, and that extradition request is being processed. This has nothing to do with the victim syndrome or claiming political prosecution. This is a clear investigation that started long before 2020, an investigation that has followed legal and administrative mechanism, an investigation that is cross-jurisdiction, an investigation that is international in nature.
Now, when the newsroom returns, the president speaks on the deadly gas station attack. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Guyana's President Dr. Finelli has described last Sunday's gas station attack as a vile assault on Guyana and affirmed that justice will be relentlessly pursued. He shared his sentiments as he addressed the Guyana Defence Force's 60th anniversary Thanksgiving service at the National Cultural Centre on Saturday. Now, 2 Sundays ago, a horrific explosion unfolded at the mobile gas station in Regent and King Streets. After the explosion, 6-year-old Soraya Bourne lost her life. Several others were injured. Daniel Alexander Ramirez Piodomo, a Venezuelan national who authorities believe is part of a notorious gang, confessed to the attack. He reportedly told investigators that he did so hours before he entered Guyana from Venezuela via boat.
We are going deep, broad, and hard to the bottom of this. To those who believe they can strike fear into the hearts of Guyanese, I say this: you will fail. You will fail because the spirit of our people cannot be terrorized. You will fail because we are one nation, resolute and indivisible. You will fail because our law enforcement agencies will ensure that peace will prevail. The safety and security of our citizens are paramount. This is non-negotiable. But even as we respond to these acts with firmness, we must do so with wisdom. We must not allow our justifiable outrage to lead us down a path of prejudice or discrimination. Guyana has long been a land where immigrants come from fleeing hardship and turmoil. They came seeking refuge, not to endanger it. Yes, we must strengthen our systems of monitoring, screening, and enforcement, which we are doing and will continue to do. We must ensure that those who enter our country do so in accordance with our laws and with respect for our peace. But let us not succumb to the temptation to paint all immigrants with the same brush.
We tell you now that police investigators probing the deadly attack at the mobile gas station on Regent and King Streets, Georgetown, are now preparing to seek legal advice as the investigation continues. Crime Chief Wendell Blanham told the newsroom on Monday that the case file is being prepared to be sent for legal advice, which will determine the next course of action in the investigation. Blanham also confirmed that images of the explosive device used in the attack were Ramirez Piodomo's mobile phone. Piodomo reportedly confessed to the crime. 9 suspects remain in custody in connection with the bombing, which claimed the life of 6-year-old Soraya Bourne. Police sought and were granted an extension from the High Court to further detain the suspects. Still to come, the community of Kimbia uses carbon credit funds. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off with some motorsport news. President Irfan Ali has announced ambitious plans to invest significantly in the country's motorsport infrastructure as Guyana aims to become a key regional hub for elite motor racing, potentially hosting a major GT3 series from 2026. Speaking on the rise of the sport in Guyana, President Ali confirmed motor racing is a premier focus, stating, and I quote, "We are looking for regional, global opportunities that are larger in scale than we have now," end quote. Discussions are ongoing with the Guyana Motor Racing and Sports Club to secure a high-profile event next year. The president has committed significant government funding to the project.
We are investing totally in sports, but sports from a different perspective, not only for those who are participating, but also sports from a tourism perspective. Because sports tourism is important for us. You know, the government has invested heavily in infrastructure. We are given a lot of incentives for sporting generally across the country. And now that we are at this phase of our development, we're integrating our sporting infrastructure, our sporting architecture, and our events with tourism. So this calls for careful planning, examining all the low-hanging fruits, and upgrading our facilities. So we have said that motor racing is one of the important events that we are targeting, and we are looking for opportunities that are regional, opportunities that are global, and opportunities that are larger in the scale of what we have now. And looking at those opportunities, we have been discussing with the Motor Racing Association possibility of a major event next year. But outside of that major event, I've asked Vishuk to be my special envoy to the racing community, to work directly with the racing community, with the Ministry of Tourism and Sports on developing this possibility. And this possibility is to bring a major championship here in Guyana next year. We are definitely going to target something big next year. We're going to invest, I think, close to $300 million in the facilities itself here to get it to the standard that we want it to be.
and to integrate it into that tourism product. And also working with sponsors, because the event that we want to bring require a high degree of sponsorship.
Now, Will Redford delivered a sweeping performance at the Caribbean Clash of Champions on Sunday, racing a new Porsche for local outfit AJM Enterprise in a newly introduced GT3 series. Redford was an instant star, winning all 3 races on debut. Redford's raw pace was staggering. He clocked a best lap of 1 minute 16.028 seconds, just fractions of a second slower than the quickest time recorded by a two-wheel competitor. He was embroiled in a tight two-man battle with local veteran Mark Vera for the honors.
What are your thoughts about racing GT3 in Guyana?
It's a lot of fun. It's hard work. The track's very bumpy. It's hot, and it gets you. Even doing 8-lap stints, you really feel it at the end. But it's a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
You managed to defeat one of Guyana's most accomplished drivers, even though GT3 is quite new for Guyana. You know, what do you feel about your performance in that regards?
It's great. You know, it's good. It's good on me to come and do that. Obviously, Mark drove great. In that second race, he was a lot closer to me, and he made me work for it. And I'm sure if we came back again, he'd be a bit closer, maybe we'd be a bit faster, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah. And just tell me about this series and what you think it could do for Guyana, probably having more cars if you do come back with AGM.
Obviously, the fans love it, and it's great to see the passion that's out here from just everyone in general, but the passion for the cars, and obviously for Guyana itself to have more GT3 cars and to have machinery like this in the country, it just shows that you're ready to take the next step and go from a smaller to the big time.
Now, Quinlan Lall delivered spectacular and sweeping performances at the Caribbean Clash of Champions on Sunday. Lall cemented his status as the man to beat in Group 4, taking all 3 checkered flags in a faultless display. Lall had sent a clear warning in the qualifying the day prior, clocking a blistering 1 minute 15.849 seconds, which put him within touching distance of the outright track record of 1 minute 15.534 seconds held by the British rider Dan Linford. While his fastest lap race time on Sunday was still rapid at 1 minute 17.218 seconds, Lall's consistency was key as he fended off intense competition, particularly from his teammate Mohan Rangasamy and Purandad Budu, who secured 2 second-place finishes in the KTM Expo.
You showed today that, I guess, homegrown and two-wheel drives still does it. One of the quickest cars out here over this weekend. How do you feel?
It feels amazing. So to be able to go up against factory-built cars imported from abroad with still a Mazda RX-7 that we started building almost 15 years ago, it's really rewarding. We still have a couple of little glitches to work out in the last race. I think we could have done a lot better, but we had a small issue with fuel pressure specifically. But we're going to work out all the kinks and come back in the last race as strong as we can.
Yeah. I know you touched on it already, coming close to breaking the track record, but how does it feel? How does your team feel? I know in the past you have come and not have the best of outings, but this is a good November.
Yeah, so in terms of track record, that is not our goal. Our goal is to bring home trophies and win races. If the lap record comes in the process, that's great. But ultimately, we're out here to beat the other drivers, not beat the lap time.
What do you think about this, though? Your role you play, look, there is this push now with GT3 and other series. Where do you believe these cars still fit in to show what it worth?
Ultimately, these tracks in the Caribbean are still relatively small, relatively bumpy, and there's a lot of different variables that the GT3 and foreign cars struggle to cope with. What we're trying to prove is that a well-tuned, well-sorted-out race car, irrespective of the make, model, background, whether you build it at home or you buy it, is still able to be competitive. This car is being built by everyone you see behind me here. And all of those guys put in their time, their effort, and ultimately, that's what's winning us races right now.
Cricket news now. Left-arm spinner Kudakesh Moti will miss the West Indies' upcoming 5-match T20 series against New Zealand following a recent dipping form, Cricket West Indies said on Sunday. In explaining the omission of the Guyanese, Cricket West Indies, in a press release to announce the squad for the tour, pointed to a technical issue with his action which will now see him working with specialists through a collaboration with the Royals Sports Group. CWI said that with conditions in New Zealand not expected to be as conducive to spin bowling, the opportunity has been taken for Moti to undergo work with specialists prior to his participation in the SA20 in December to address the issue and rebuild confidence ahead of the T20 World Cup, where he's expected to play a key role. The West Indies squad reads Shea Hope captain Alec Atenes, Akeem Ogist, Ruston Chase, Matthew Ford, Jason Holder, Akil Hussain, Amir Jangu, Brandon King, Kari Pierre, Rovman Powell, Shafin Rutherford, Jaden Seals, Romario Shepard, and Shamar Springer. Volleyball news now. The national playoff of the Republic Bank One Guyana Countrywide B Division tournament served off on Saturday morning in Georgetown. The Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Charles Ramson Jr., Assistant Directors of Sport, Franklin Wilson and Melissa Dow Richardson, Chairman of the National Sports Commission, Kashif Mohammed, the Branch Sales Manager of Republic Bank, Samantha Leach Fraser, and President of the Guyana Volleyball Federation, John Flores, ceremony at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall. The Sports Hall and the National Gymnasium were utilized over the weekend as top teams from across the country converged in the city for the grand finale. With the exception of Region 8, games were played in the other 9 regions with over 1,000 players of all ages, representing a total of 78 clubs and teams.
What's important for us is unlocking talent throughout the country. Guyana is big. We don't have a lot of people, but we are a big country. But because we don't have a lot of people, we have to make the best use of our people. And our talent, for whatever sport, whatever skill, all contributes towards the development of our country and the people of our country. Wherever you are, whichever village you've come from, whichever town you've come from, this tournament that we've organized, that has been supported by the government of Guyana, but also our trusted partner, Republic Bank, who has been doing a lot of events with us. This tournament is a commitment that we have made from the government. President Ali and the People's Progressive Party government, we've said that in order for our country to develop and have a sense of equity in our development, we want to have the talent from every area given an opportunity to play, to shine, to show who they are and what they would like to pursue. Without this tournament being designed the way that it is, we would not have been able to get you here today.
At Republic Bank, sports is very close to our heart because we believe that sports not only builds athletes, but it builds character, it builds teamwork, it builds resilience. Through our Power to Make a Difference initiative, we are proud to partner with the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport and the Guyana Volleyball Federation to make today's activities possible. We believe that this is not only a social investment, but it's an investment in our youth, it's an investment in our country.
I know some of you here will be on display at the upcoming Inter-Guyana Games in December. I think that is a big plus. We have identified some players, some very young players here standing in front of us for the Inter-Guyana Games in December. That will only enrich the teams that will represent Guyana. Now, this is a monumental task for the Federation to bring all of you here, and I therefore want to thank the Minister and the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports in trying to get players from all regions to come to Georgetown so that we could see their skills. Minister, I cannot thank you enough. I also want to thank the bank for sponsoring and supporting us, their social development program, Power to Make a Difference. They're also helping us to see these talents. I want to thank the bank wholeheartedly for your support too.
And high-level delegations from French Guyana and Suriname are expected to arrive in Guyana this week to meet with the Director of Sports, Stephen Ninval, and officials from the National Sports Commission to finalize plans for the 2025 Inter-Guyana Games, the IGG, scheduled for December 5th to the 7th in Georgetown. The visit on November 5th marks the final preparatory meeting ahead of this year's highly anticipated games, which will see the three neighboring territories, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana, reignite a long-standing sporting rivalry built on friendship and cultural exchange. During their stay, the visiting delegations will sign the protocol agreement that will confirm the disciplines to be contested at this year's IGG, while also conducting venue inspections of the facilities expected to host the various events. The IGG, which first began in 1967, stands as one of the region's longest-running youth sport exchanges, designed to foster unity, cooperation, and mutual understanding among the young athletes of the Guyanas. Over the decades, the Games have produced several athletes who went on to represent their countries at the international level. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, and all social media platforms. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching. Do have a great evening. See you back here tomorrow.